This video gives you a description of our ego method. Ego, exposed, game over. Basic principle: our emotions, identity, and actions, or inactions, are hijacked by our ego mind. Due to past experiences, ego will always urge us to restore emotional safety and control when the ego alarm clock goes off, shouting unsafe. Unfortunately, ego's advice may sometimes lead to short-term emotional safety or control, through fight, flee, freeze, or fawn strategies, but it does not lead to inner peace or happiness. Still, we often tend to keep on following our ego's advice since we believe our ego is our identity, which it is not. The ego method will give you insights into the toxic role of our ego in our lives and how to expose its advice, but also its manipulative tactics. Once you start to see through the ego and its toxic traits, you will be more motivated to let go of the ego-attached behavior and adopt more inner peace-promoting behavior in your life. Let's do it. Step 1. Physical arrangement. 1. Create a therapeutic space using 3 designated spots positioned in a triangle. Spot 1. We call this the inner peace state spot, or IPS. Represented by a chair, pillow, or floor marker, for example, a piece of white paper with IPS written on it. This spot symbolizes the soul or the state of calm and harmony, or IPS as we have named it. Spot 2. This is the spot where we put your ego mind. Represented similarly by a chair, pillow, or floor marker. This spot symbolizes your fear-driven ego and its associated survival mechanisms and behavior. Spot 3. This spot is reserved for what we call the observer. This is your initial seat. It represents your neutral, objective perspective, distinct from the IPS and ego position. Step 2. Introduction and concept explanation. 1. While you are seated at the observer position, take in the following. In this setup, we recognize that you consist of 3 parts: the observer, the ego, and the inner peace state, IPS. Until now, you may have primarily identified with the ego or the package of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that have brought you to this point in life. This includes feeling stuck, exhausted, desperate, or in need of therapeutic help. When you are operating from the ego state, you are in a constant state of alertness, striving to maintain control and ensure safety. Over time, this has led to your current condition, whether it's burnout, depression, trauma, powerlessness, or a general sense of being overwhelmed. Got this? Perfect. Let's move on. Step 3. Introducing the inner peace state, IPS. 1. Direct your attention to the chair on the left, labeled IPS, inner peace state, and let me explain. This chair represents your inner peace state. It's the part of you that holds the potential for complete calm, confidence, and happiness. The level of inner peace you cultivate is directly proportional to your overall happiness. Regardless of how you define success or fulfillment in life, it ultimately boils down to achieving a state of inner peace. When you reside in IPS, you experience freedom from anxious thoughts, limiting beliefs, stress, reactivity, codependency, and trauma. Instead, your life is guided by what we call the sacred 5: trust, belief, faith, confidence, patience. When the sacred 5 govern your energy, you remain in constant alignment with IPS, leading to a fulfilling, peaceful, and harmonious life. Step 4. Identifying the current and desired states. 1. I now ask you, which chair, position, or energy is mainly ruling your life right now? You will typically point to the ego chair. 2. Next question: which chair would you like to sit on in an attempt to lead a happier life? You will typically point to the IPS chair. 3. Let me highlight the paradox with these simple questions. We can see the core paradox in your life. You are currently living in fear, represented by the ego chair, while your desire is to live a life of love and peace, represented by the IPS chair. 4. I now ask you, do you understand the paradox and the core cause of your issue or trauma? Are you prepared to work on transitioning or moving from the ego chair to the IPS chair as much as possible? Or do you want to hold on to your old identity connected to the ego chair because your safety and control-driven life feels more important to you than a happy and peaceful life? 5. I like to emphasize the choice by stating, now you choose, consciously, deliberately and determinedly, holding on to ego or moving to IPS. Step 5. Beginning the transition, exposure. at least when you have just chosen to work on change towards IPS. 1. I assume you have chosen to transition from the ego to the IPS chair and you are motivated to change. 2. Now, please sit or stand on the ego chair or position and fully embody your ego through visualization or imagination. On this spot, you fully become your ego energy, the frantic energy inside you, always on guard and scanning for unsafety and the threat of being out of control. Including all your attempts to restore safety and control with all means available, even the nasty ones. Step 6. Exploring the ego mind. 1. While you are seated on the ego chair or spot, I like to guide you through the following questions to expose your ego's patterns and influence. Chapter 1. Thoughts and feelings. What do you think when you are in this ego position? What or how do you feel sitting on this ego chair? Chapter 2. Mission and purpose. As ego, what is your job or mission in this person's life? How do you work to fulfill this mission? Chapter 3. Influence and manipulation. How do you influence the person you control? Do you apply gaslighting? If so, how and why? Do you use manipulation? If so, how and why? Do you use blame shifting or any other tactics or methods to control your environment? If so, how and why? Chapter 4. Defense mechanisms. What is the reason you apply blame shifting? What do you do when an outside threat is perceived as an attack on your vulnerability, emotional safety or self-worth? Chapter 5. Behavioral responses. How do you make your person act to restore control and safety? Chapter 6. Promises and deceptions. As ego, what promises do you make to your person when they follow your advice? What do you tell your person to convince them to follow your advice? What do you promise your person in return for obeying you? Step 7. Self-therapeutic guidelines for ego interrogation. 1. Treat your ego as if it were a physical narcissistic personality. Engage it friendly. Your ego loves attention but will be on guard. Act friendly, boost its self-worth with compliments, and let it feel recognized for its role. Encourage boasting. Let the ego proudly explain how it has controlled your life, bombarded you with worrying thoughts, and maintained control by belittling, mocking, warning, and fear-mongering. Validate efforts. Acknowledge and praise how effective it has been in maintaining safety and control over your life. 2. Ask about the ego's emotional detachment. How do you feel about the fact that your person doesn't feel happy or peaceful? Observe your ego's likely response. That's not my problem. My mission is control and safety. Their happiness is irrelevant. 3. Explore the ego's mistrust of the IPS. Ask, what do you think about the IPS chair? Your ego will often reveal a deep mistrust of love, peace, and happiness due to your childhood experiences of abandonment, betrayal, or rejection. Let the ego explain how this mistrust developed. How it led to its mission of achieving safety and control through power, perfectionism, pleasing others, and being overly responsible. Step 8. Observer reflection. 1. I invite you now back into the observer chair. Face your ego chair. 2. Ask reflective questions to your observer. What did you hear from your ego? How do you perceive this ego narc as a part of yourself that you have identified with? What conclusions do you draw from this conversation? 3. Address potential doubts. Be aware that the ego will often attempt to instill doubt and reassert control by urging you to ask for new tips or tricks to fix things. The ego always wants something to do. This is another ego tactic, rooted in the need to do rather than be. Emphasize and reflect on the IPS's nature of being in trust, belief, faith, confidence, and patience, qualities that require no external fixing or action. Step 9. The King, Queen analogy. 1. I now introduce this analogy to you. Imagine a kingdom ruled by a king or queen, you. In this kingdom, the ruler, you, has handed over all power to the guard at the castle gate, the ego mind or protector. The king or queen, representing your core being, has given full control of their kingdom to the guard, who operates out of fear and protection. The protector keeps the king or queen locked in the castle for safety, warning them not to step outside where threats exist. Over time, the ruler remains seated in the throne, isolated and disconnected, while the guard actually is the ruler of the kingdom. Occasionally, the king or queen looks out from the castle walls and sees the freedom, connection, and joy outside. This is the soul or IPS calling them. However, the protector dismisses these desires, convincing the ruler that staying inside is the only way to remain safe. 2. A bit of reflection now. How does this story resonate with your experience of giving control to your ego? What would it take for inner king or queen to reclaim their power from the protector? 3. Explore through physical visualization or energy constellation. Create a depiction of the castle, throne, and guard in your therapeutic space. I now ask you to embody the ruler, king or queen, and consider stepping out of the castle to explore the IPS, the outside world. By using this analogy, you can better visualize your core being's relationship with your ego and begin reclaiming your personal power and freedom. Step 10. Transition practices to sustain IPS alignment. 1. A few guidelines for practices to strengthen alignment with the inner peace state, IPS. Breath awareness. Use calming breathwork techniques to anchor into the present moment. Body scanning. I encourage daily body scans to become attuned to physical sensations and release tension. Self-compassion practices. Reinforce a mindset of patience and unconditional love toward yourselves. Keep on demasking your ego position from the observer position and discover how deceptive your ego works to suppress your core being. Journaling. I suggest reflective journaling prompts, such as what did I do today to align with my inner peace state? Inner dialogue. Practice identifying ego-driven thoughts and replacing them with affirmations rooted in trust, belief, and confidence. 2. Monitor progress. Regularly revisit the triangle setup to assess shifts in your identification with the IPS and ego states. Adjust your interventions based on your evolving relationship with these parts of yourselves. 3. Celebrate milestones. Acknowledge even small steps toward transitioning from the ego chair to the IPS chair. Reinforce the sacred 5 qualities whenever they emerge in your behaviors and thoughts. By weaving ongoing practices and check-ins into the therapeutic journey, you can integrate your IPS alignment into your daily life, creating sustainable transformation. Don't try to push, force or impose yourself a certain insistence on goals or outcomes with respect to this method. This is ego tricking you again into performance, connecting value to doing. Don't fall for it and guide yourself back to IPS, using the sacred 5 we have mentioned to you. Good luck exposing your inner narc. If you think you need some help with this process and you believe we are the right people to support you, feel free to contact us, www.freakanari.com.